In one relationship where the spouse was furious at the wife because she loved to paint. And he would go off on her about what a horrible wife she was because she enjoyed painting. That will always happen. If you're waiting for the narcissist to stop doing that, to stop criticizing you so that you can love yourself, it will never happen. So in a way, the narcissist is still acting like the narcissist, and the narcissist will always act like the narcissist. We, at one time, acted like codependents. We were codependents. Most of us didn't realize it, though. That needing that person to react or say or think a certain way in order for us to be okay or to feel good or to feel supported, that's that codependent thinking. That's that old subconscious programming in us that makes us feel like without that approval, without their stamp of approval, we can't feel good about ourselves. Again, that's a lie that was instilled in us by faulty parenting. When we have programming that's been going on for a long time, we have to start changing that programming, not on a conscious level, but also on a subconscious level. And it starts with our thoughts. So let's say you're going to work out or you're doing something you love and the person says, oh my God, you're so mean. You're so rude. You're an awful spouse because you're doing something that you love. How dare you? You're so selfish. You're so awful. You're going to feel something come up inside of you, like an emotion. And that emotion wants to push you to do anything to stop that conflict. That emotion is coming from the pain and the fear of every time you try to be an individual or to be yourself or to exert your own feelings and thoughts as a child and you were shut down. If you were sad, you weren't allowed to cry. If you were hurt, you were being too sensitive. If you gave your opinion, it was stupid. And so a child feels this immense amount of emotion and pain at the rejection of their authentic self that they learn to live doing anything to not make the other person upset. Without realizing it, we carry it into our relationships. What we don't heal, the childhood wounds we don't heal from, become the patterns in our adult relationships. The first step in overcoming it is to notice it. When you feel that pain coming up or that emotion coming up, you say, oh, I know what this is. This is probably an emotional flashback. This is because as a kid, anytime I would do something for me, I was made to feel so awful. That's why I'm feeling this way. Second step is to validate your emotions. Well, of course, it felt awful. It sucked to not be allowed to be myself. It sucks that I still don't get support from the person I'm in a relationship with now. They don't support what I like, what I enjoy. That's messed up. I understand why I feel so frustrated or I feel so much pain. The third step is to change that programming by saying, but you know what? I don't need this person to approve of my passion for me to enjoy my passion. I'm allowed to exercise. I'm allowed to take care of myself. I'm allowed to look pretty. I'm allowed to dress nice. I'm allowed to put on perfume. I'm allowed to laugh. So you start changing that programming. And then the fourth thing is to engage in whatever you wanted to do that your authentic self wants to do and allow yourself to feel good. Now, I know some of you are like, yeah, right, Michelle. With him or her going off on me, how could I possibly enjoy it? It's going to take mental energy. It's going to take some effort, but you would be surprised at how empowered you feel when you begin to separate yourself from their negative reactions. In other words, you realize that he or she is allowed to view that awful. They're allowed to be negative, and you're allowed to stay you. They're allowed to criticize. I mean, it sucks. No one wants that to happen, but we can't control them, so they're allowed to behave immature and toxic. Sadly, that's their choice. But you're allowed, I'm allowed to enjoy what I'm doing. I'm allowed to feel good. Is it easy? No. It's not easy. It's a new way of thinking. Think of it as going against the grain. If there's strong winds, and you're walking in the direction where the wind is blowing and it's blowing on your back, you're going to walk faster. The wind is going to be helping you. In this case scenario, you're walking against those strong winds. It's not easy. But walking against those strong winds is going to lead you to where you want to be. Walking with the wind is going to lead you to exactly where you have been in the relationship with somebody that's abusing you. You're going to feel the same emotions. You're going to feel and deal with the same dramas, the same arguments, the same put downs. The same thing is going to keep happening until you start changing. In the beginning, it feels awkward because you're not used to having those thoughts. You're not used to allowing yourself to be you despite what your significant other says you are or thinks about you. You're not used to that. Begin generating internal validation. Giving yourself credit, giving yourself compliments. If you put makeup on and you're hoping that the toxic person is going to tell you how pretty you are, then you're just holding your breath because they know that that's what you want and they will purposely always give you the opposite. So you put makeup on, go look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, I'm beautiful. I'm happy that I loved myself enough to get myself done up. I'm happy with the way I look. I'm happy that I styled my hair. I'm happy that I worked out. Allow yourself to sit and feel those good emotions because they're going to strengthen your desire to continue generating your self-love, to continue in these behaviors. If all you focus on is, oh my God, but every time I do this, he hates this or she hates this. And every time I do that, they get mad. And every time this happens, what you're doing is you're strengthening your desire to not love yourself. And that's exactly what the toxic person wants. And that's wrong. You deserve and you are allowed to love yourself and to feel good about yourself. Again, I know it's not easy. And I say these things not because I read them in a book, but because it wasn't until I began making these changes and I began thinking differently that I was finally able to empower myself. You can hear my videos, you can hear anyone else's videos, but you won't really believe that these tools work until you begin applying them in your life.